Have you ever felt like you're living in a world where everyone else is sleepwalking? Where you see patterns, truths, and shadows that others refuse to acknowledge? Where your clarity feels like a burden, and your awareness isolates you from the very people you're trying to connect with? If you've ever felt the weight of seeing too much, of understanding too deeply, then you know the profound loneliness that comes with psychological awakening. You know what it means to be awake in a world that prefers its dreams. But here's what most people don't realize. This sight, this burden you carry, is not your curse. It's your calling. And by the end of this video, you'll become a different person, someone who understands the true power of seeing what others cannot. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay until the very end. Your transformation awaits. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. There's a particular kind of suffering that comes with seeing clearly. It's the pain of the prophet, the burden of the truth-seer, the weight carried by those who have glimpsed behind the veil of collective unconsciousness. You know this pain intimately, don't you? It's the ache of watching people you love destroy themselves with patterns they refuse to see. It's the exhaustion of being the one who always speaks the uncomfortable truth in rooms full of comfortable lies. You see the shadow lurking beneath their polished personas. You recognize the projections they cast onto others, the way they blame the world for their own unhealed wounds. You watch them chase external validation like moths to a flame, never realizing that the light they seek burns within their own chest. And the most devastating part? They often resent you for seeing it. Jung called this the burden of individuation, the price of becoming conscious in an unconscious world. When you begin to see clearly, when you start to recognize the psychological patterns that govern human behavior, you inevitably find yourself standing apart from the herd. Your awareness becomes a mirror that reflects back their own avoided truths. And mirrors, as you well know, are rarely welcomed. This is why the awakened often feel so profoundly alone. It's not that you're better than others. It's that you're operating from a different level of consciousness. You've descended into your own depths, wrestled with your shadow, and emerged with eyes that see beyond the surface. But this gift of sight comes with a cost. The realization that most people are not ready for the truth you carry. The danger of seeing what others don't isn't just the loneliness. It's the temptation to either close your eyes or to force others to open theirs. Both paths lead to suffering. Close your eyes and you betray your authentic self, dimming your light to make others comfortable. Force others to see, and you become the unwelcome prophet, speaking truths to those who have not yet developed the capacity to hear them. But there's a third way, a path that honors both your sight and their blindness. It begins with understanding that your clarity is not meant to fix everyone, it's meant to free you. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung. To understand why your sight feels so isolating, we must first examine the architecture of collective unconsciousness, the invisible scaffolding that holds up our shared illusions. From the moment we're born, we're initiated into a world of masks, roles, and acceptable personas. We learn to hide our authentic selves behind carefully constructed facades, and over time, we forget that we're wearing them at all. Society rewards conformity and punishes authenticity. It teaches us to seek approval rather than self-awareness, to chase external success rather than inner peace. The system is designed to keep us unconscious, distracted, and dependent on external validation. Those who see through this illusion, those, like you, represent a threat to the established order. This is why your awareness often meets with resistance. When you point out the emperor has no clothes, you're not just challenging someone's beliefs, you're threatening their entire identity structure. The persona they've spent years constructing, the self-image they've carefully curated, the life they've built on foundations of illusion, all of it becomes unstable in the presence of your clarity. Machiavelli understood this dynamic well. He wrote about the masses' preference for comfortable lies over uncomfortable truths. People, he observed, are more easily deceived than convinced they have been deceived. Your role is not to convince them, it's to remain true to your own sight while navigating the complex social dynamics that your awareness creates. The truth is, most people are not living their own lives. They're living the lives others expect them to live. They've become so identified with their roles: the good parent, the successful professional, the likable friend, that they've forgotten who they are beneath the performance. They've projected their power onto external authorities, seeking validation from sources that can never truly see them. You, however, have begun the process of reclaiming your projections. You've started to withdraw your energy from external validation systems and redirect it toward your own inner authority. This shift in consciousness is what creates the gap between you and others. You're operating from your authentic self while they're still operating from their programmed persona. But here's what you must understand. Their unconsciousness is not your responsibility to fix. Your consciousness is not a tool for their awakening. It's a gift for your own liberation. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you can begin to use your sight as it was intended, not as a weapon against ignorance, but as a compass toward your own authentic power. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Rumi. There comes a moment in every conscious person's journey when they must make a choice: continue trying to wake up a world that prefers its sleep, or withdraw their energy from that futile endeavor and redirect it toward their own continued evolution. This withdrawal is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of sacred preservation. Nietzsche spoke of the necessity of becoming who you are, of affirming your own existence, despite or perhaps because of the world's resistance to your authenticity. This affirmation requires a kind of holy selfishness, a willingness to prioritize your own psychological development over the comfort of others. It means saying no to the endless demands of those who would drain your energy without offering anything meaningful in return. The conscious withdrawal is not about building walls, it's about building boundaries. It's about recognizing that your energy is precious, that your clarity is a gift, and that both must be protected if they are to serve their highest purpose. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot light the way for others if you've allowed them to extinguish your own flame. This is where Jung's concept of individuation becomes crucial. Individuation is not about becoming separate from others. It's about becoming separate from their projections, expectations, and unconscious demands. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that you've given away in the name of belonging, acceptance, or peacekeeping. When you withdraw your energy from trying to fix, save, or awaken others, something miraculous happens. You finally have the space and energy to heal, save, and awaken yourself. You stop being a mirror for their unhealed wounds and become a beacon of your own integrated wholeness. This transformation is not selfish, it's necessary. The world needs more whole people, not more wounded healers. The sacred withdrawal looks like saying no without explanation or apology. It looks like choosing solitude over superficial connection. It looks like trusting your own inner, knowing more than external opinions. It looks like honoring your own needs and boundaries as sacred, non-negotiable truths. This withdrawal will be misunderstood by some. They may call you selfish, cold, or distant. They may try to guilt you back into your old patterns of overgiving and people-pleasing. But their discomfort with your boundaries is not your responsibility. Their inability to respect your sacred withdrawal is information about them, not instruction for you. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Joseph Campbell. When you stop giving your power away to those who cannot see you, something profound happens. You begin to remember who you actually are. The energy you once scattered across 100 different people-pleasing projects suddenly consolidates into a focused beam of authentic presence. This is the alchemy of awakened power, the transformation of scattered, desperate energy into concentrated, sovereign force. Jung understood that true power comes not from controlling others, but from controlling yourself, your reactions, your energy, your attention, your time. When you master these internal domains, you become what Nietzsche called the Mensch, not a superior being in relation to others, but a being who has transcended the need for external validation and found their source of strength within. This inner power operates on entirely different principles than worldly power. It doesn't seek to dominate or control. It seeks to create and transform. It doesn't need recognition or applause. It finds fulfillment in the act of authentic expression itself. It doesn't fear judgment or rejection. It has found something more valuable than acceptance: self-respect. The awakened person becomes like water fluid, adaptable, powerful, yet never losing its essential nature. They can move through different social situations, play various roles when necessary, but they never lose touch with their authentic core. They've learned to wear their personas lightly, like clothes that can be changed when the situation calls for it, rather than like chains that bind them to false identities. This is what Machiavelli truly meant when he wrote about the prince, not a ruler of others, but a master of oneself. The conscious person becomes the sovereign of their own inner kingdom, governing their thoughts, emotions, and reactions with wisdom and discernment. They no longer react unconsciously to the world around them. They respond consciously from their center of power. But this power comes with responsibility. The more conscious you become, the more responsible you are for your own life and choices. You can no longer blame others for your unhappiness, your stuck patterns, or your unfulfilled dreams. The awakened person accepts complete responsibility for their experience, while simultaneously releasing the need to control anything beyond their own inner world. This is the paradox of true power. It increases as you stop trying to wield it over others and start cultivating it within yourself. The person who has found their center of power no longer needs to prove themselves to anyone. They've become their own source of validation, their own fountain of worth, their own compass of direction.